She's made it her life's mission to help shape the life and destiny of others. Dr. Nancy Mramor is a licensed clinical media and health psychologist, and most recently, the author of Get Real, Produce Your Own Life. And she's joining us now via Skype. Welcome, Dr. Nancy.
Dr. Joanne, it is a pleasure to be with you here this morning to talk about Get Real. Thank you.
Well, thank you. So you wrote this book, Get Real. What was the stem behind writing it?
Well, Joanne, as you said, I've been working with media and psychology for many years. And it occurred to me that while psychology is very much devoted to helping people live mindful, conscious lives, that television is designed to take us away from reality into fantasy. And it's a land where an unemployed chiropractor can live in a beach house with a wealthy playboy without paying any rent for an indefinite period of time. And I think we all know that refers to the TV show 2.5 Men. And this is the kind of thing that really shows us that TV and reality are very much divided, and that oftentimes we really get caught up in the lack of reality in our television shows, and it sort of rubs off on us. What happens is that we start to enjoy the shows that we're watching, and we start to really take on these characters almost as if they're family members.
Which is difficult if we do that, because then they're part of our family member, part of our family, and we're not recognizing what you said, fantasy versus reality in what we're doing. I have a question, because in here you talk so much about something called conscious viewing and conscious living. What's conscious viewing, Nancy?
Conscious viewing means that as you watch your television or your internet or look at a billboard or read a magazine, that you are fully aware of the message that is intended by the particular program or image. So if you're watching a television show, you want to be able to realize what are the messages that you're being given, mostly subliminally, not really consciously. People on the screen aren't saying you should look just like this character or you should be as successful as this character, but because you like the character, and as you said, you've taken them into your family, what happens is that you want to be like them. You subconsciously take on their attitudes, their goals, and you compare yourself to them in a way that can affect your self-esteem.
So not only does it affect their self-esteem, but you're talking about subliminal, so there's some kind of also hypnotic effect that happens. And in the book, and I love the book because of the examples that you give with TV, but what are some ways to kind of break the hypnotic effect so that we really recognize the difference between reality versus the fantasy?
Well, thank you for bringing up the idea of hypnosis, because that's exactly what happens. When you take on a belief or you learn something that becomes a part of your belief system or one of your goals, you are in a hypnotic trance. And in the book, with each chapter, I talk about whether it's the reality chapter, the drama, the romance, politics, science fiction. For each chapter, there's a way to break the trance. And some of the best, most fun trance breakers that I've encountered, I share with you in the book. And one of them is called substitution. So you're watching a show, you're viewing consciously, you recognize that you've picked up some attitudes or ideas from the show that are really not good for you.
Right.
Or you're just glued to the set and you can't get away. You're addicted to the television set. It's time to substitute. And what that means is either substitute a different program, something that's not quite as hypnotic, or substitute a different activity, walk away from the television. And that is one of the trance breakers.
Okay, and you have other trance breakers. We're not going to give all of them away because I want people to really get a hold of this book and to really read the book. How do people live consciously? We're talking about conscious living. Give us one tip, one clue for conscious living, Nancy.
Well, in the book, I have what I call the top 10 C's for conscious living. And the first one that I love, I think it's the most important one because without it, we can't go anywhere from there, is curiosity. You know, curiosity is, wow, what's Get Real about? What causes me to be hypnotized? Am I hypnotized? What's going on? And to get curious today about how media might be shaping your life and how you might be able to move from getting REEL to getting REAL by doing the fun, entertaining activities in the book.
So instead of getting R-E-E-L, I love it, get R-E-A-L. That's fantastic. I love that.
Thank you.
Nancy, what else is in the book that is really going to help people get on that conscious living track?
Well, as you learn to view media consciously, and as you learn to pick out the messages, and the book is a lot of fun. This is not a hard task, but to really enjoy learning how to see consciously what's happening in the media, on a billboard, in an advertisement, particularly on TV shopping. What happens is that you gain the skills for conscious living. So conscious viewing becomes conscious living, and you can't really go back. Once you learn how to live consciously, you start to notice everything around you, all the messages that are coming toward you, and you begin to understand what's really important to me, as opposed to these messages that are being thrown at me from every angle.
That is so very essential. Get real, R-E-A-L. Thanks so much, Dr. Nancy.
Thank you.
Stay tuned. Are you stuck in a rut and need to bounce back? My next guest is going to show you just how. She's the author of Life Happens, Bounce Back. Lisa Bien will join us when we return in just a moment, so stay tuned.